You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on, it's down, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. It is Wednesday, the 26th of March. We got some shit to talk about. We got a bunch of linebackers, a bunch of tight ends to talk about. But in other news, the Browns still don't have a fucking quarterback. We're going to dive into that a bunch because there's some other things that have happened along in the NFL. But before we dive into all of that, I got to bring in my guy, my co-host, good friend, pal, and cohort on this fucking wild ride. Evo, my man, how you doing? I like the new hat. You are a man of many hats because you wear those bushes at all times. You sweat right through them. So I like the new one.
Yeah, new hat. Got it in today. I'd probably go through a new hat a month.
Yeah.
And just keep them in the rotation. Because not having to do my hair or anything like that, anything special with the hair in the morning, just slap on what I can and run to work. That's fantastic. I love it. So that's the beauty of it. And then obviously the gym, got to have something instead of a headband for when I'm sweating. So yeah, I do sweat through these motherfuckers pretty damn regularly. So yeah, new hat. But no, I'm doing good, buddy. Glad to be here on a Wednesday. Not as explosive right now as far as the news cycle with NFL news, at least. There's still stuff happening, a couple relatively big signings. But yeah, you guys don't technically have a quarterback on your roster other than a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So in some circles, you might say that you're set.
In no circles, in this world where any rational human being is using their brain, I think you could say that the Browns are set at quarterback. Gosh, it's gonna be wild. But before we start diving into the world of the NFL, before I start getting annoyed with the things that are happening in Cleveland, let's talk about good things. Major League Baseball is coming back, man. Opening day tomorrow. I'm very excited. Baseball is finally back. We have our Little League draft coming up. Not this week. It's supposed to be this week. Now it's next week. So we'll be drafting for the Little League team, which the No Sleeves Network is going to sponsor this year. The Lineman Lounge is not. The Lineman Lounge is in a little bit of flux right now. So the No Sleeves Network is going to take over the sponsorship for the Lineman Lounge. And I'm pretty pumped, man. I love opening day. It's fantastic. Should be a national holiday. Everyone should celebrate opening day. You know what would be really cool is if opening day didn't happen a week ago in Japan at 2:00 in the morning on a fucking Wednesday, and they didn't market all of it. But opening day is going to be awesome tomorrow. Are you excited for baseball season? Your Twins, they're obviously going to try to contend for the Central. High hopes for your squad this year?
Not currently. I'm waiting for like full sale of the team and then see what the fuck happens. I believe I saw something the other day that we're like 400 something million dollars in debt, like the ownership is or something like that with the team, and it's part of an issue with the sale. But yeah, the Pullets put it up for sale. Let's just sell the team. Don't expect it to go anywhere. As far as like they're staying in Minnesota, I don't expect anything to happen there. But it would be nice to actually have a team that's willing to spend money on players. Because if we continue to develop like we do through our farm system, which has been pretty good, and then we retain the players that we actually develop and bring in some talent, that would be cool. It's one of the things that bothers me with baseball still is that uh, you have those certain markets, those certain ownerships that can just kind of willy-nilly spend money. LA, New York, Boston, things like that. They can just spend the money, bring in all the big names, and to kind of, pay to win almost. And it's not a guarantee, but it gives you a heavy edge, more
Right.
likely than not. And then you have smaller market teams who are always going to be a lot or struggling more to contend. So if we can bring in ownership that's got some papega in the pocket and they can, pay players, that would be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so having ownership that would pay players would be really, really nice instead of trading guys away. My Guardians, I don't know what's going to happen, man. I think they are going to be good because they always kind of find a way to be good. Guards ball. I was going to ask, you're new to the Twitter game. I'm sorry, the X game. Are you familiar with the Twins X community?
Not at all.
Cy Louie. There's a internet personality, I think you'd call them, Cy Louie, that absolutely hates everything about the Guardians and the way we play baseball, the little dink and dunk baseball. And I think it's hilarious. Some of the interactions that fan base has, our fan base has with Cy Louie, are classic. I don't know if we're going to be good because I don't know if we have any fucking power. We should pitch well. We'll see what happens. We always kind of go over expectations. I feel like it's very rare that we've had a Guardians team that has drastically underperformed in the last decade that I remember. So
yeah, you guys have definitely been a little bit more of a surprise. I wouldn't necessarily say last year, but the year before, how well you did was a bit of a surprise, I think, to people, given the turnover that there was. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Look, that's one of the things is I've got this love-hate with baseball.
I know.
I've fallen out of love with baseball like I used to really love it when I was younger because I was able to go see my Twins at least once a week for a relatively cheap cost and watch them on TV and things like that. And they were always, relatively competitive and stuff like that, kind of fun. And it's just like the same thing over and over and over again with this team. I'm outside of the market now, so it's tough to watch. Obviously, there's TV issues and whatnot in Major League.
Yeah, a lot of TV
terribly run by Rob Manfred, and yeah, it's difficult. Like I want to like baseball, but with the length of the season, it seems like it's one of those sports for me where I can kind of tepidly pay attention, maybe looking once a week, once every other week, until we get to middle of the year, All-Star break, and then towards the end of the year, playoff push. So yeah, that makes it a little bit more difficult for me. But we'll see what happens.
See, I'm locked in already. Got my fantasy baseball draft done. Money league, I'm ready to go. I went heavy pitching this year. So I'm very excited for baseball. One thing that I really wish would happen, and we talk about this all the time, is that I wish baseball would market better. we were talking just before the show, and I'll bring it up again here. Opening day has already happened. It happened in Japan. The Japan series that kind of took place, a little showcase. Those games counted towards the regular season record. So right now the Dodgers are 2-0 and the Cubs are 0-2 on the season. Shouldn't baseball be doing a much better job to market this so everybody knows that baseball season is actually officially underway instead of giving this faux opening day? And also, now that some of the TV deals are having problems, like the Guardians specifically, we are going to have our own Guardians TV where we can watch it. We just watch the Guardians. If you could get something where it was just your team that you could focus on, is that something that you would be interested in terms of, getting you more into the sport? What is a way that baseball could pull you back in, I guess?
I mean, having a TV deal specific for a team with a easy intro pricing, like something that's not out of this world, that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, I'm going to revert back to old school. I already got Sirius XM. I'm going to listen to it on the radio. I used to do that a lot anyways when I couldn't sit down with my friends and watch a game or actually go to a game. And this is something that personally for me will never happen, but shortening the season, removing the amount of games, because it makes the games more important. Like you truly feel like there's certain parts of your lineup where if you don't have a stellar pitching staff, like these games might not really matter. Like, hey, if we win, cool, but like this game might not matter. The importance of every game doesn't seem to matter as much until the end of the year. It's too much aggregate for me of the season versus something like a football where it's so important to win every game. And it's not that way in baseball. Like there are acceptable losses, and I hate that in a competitive sport.
Yeah. And you actually see a very similar model, like when it comes to the business side of this, like when you're talking about selling and ticket sales in NFL, you'll see prices be driven so much higher for ticket prices because the occurrences are so few and far between that they become more of a rarity. Whereas baseball, you get 81 of those things every year, and then you still get some teams like the Guardians. We're going to do it again this year. They give you that package, $50 a month. I can walk in and have standing room tickets and watch any game all month long. So they're not as important, and that does detract a little bit, especially if you're not really into the sport. With baseball being such a numbers-driven game, a metric-driven game, stats, records-driven game, I don't think that we will ever see the season shortened because they want those numbers. They want to see those records be pushed.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's certain things that like I would like to see it be more traditional as far as like professional sports, some sort of a salary cap system, some sort of a shortened season. Let's allow steroids and make it fun again. Like steroids. Things that will never happen is what I want. But yeah, those are, pipe dreams, of course.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all for the juicing. That's the one place I don't want it raw is in baseball. Give me all the steroids.
No, that's where you do want it raw. No.
Raw gets
untethered. Raw milk. Yeah, they're going to be taking a lot of raw milk.
A lot of raw milk. Oh man, we'll have more baseball to talk about. Potential of salary cap being talked about. Maybe lockouts in the future. Hopefully not, but more on that potentially to come. Let's transition over into NFL though, and let's start diving into some of that quarterback talk, man. The Giants get two quarterbacks over the last week since we have talked. They signed Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is not going to be bringing his excellent fucking vibes to the Minnesota locker room like we talked about on the last episode, which kind of stinks. Pete Rose in the hall. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
He should be there.
Sorry.
He should absolutely be there. Listen, he was maybe an asshole. And by maybe, almost certainly an asshole. Being a bad person doesn't change your level of baseball ability. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame, not the nice
we're talking
guys fucking Hall of
statistics
Fame.
here.
It's
We're
not
talking
the nice guys Hall of Fame. He's a fucking asshole. Fine.
Who thinks that Michael Jordan's a nice guy? No one. He's a fucking asshole. And he's one of, if not the best assholes ever because of how good he was at fucking basketball. We're not going to get in that fucking conversation every year.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. But Pete Rose should absolutely be there. Guys that could have been in cool places. Jameis Winston could have been in Minnesota. Goes to New York. I thought was going to have a chance to start in New York, maybe kind of groom a rookie. And then they go out and do something wild, something that has kind of put me on edge because it means that I'm going to have like at least 3 Achilles surgeries in my quarterback room, I think. But Russell Wilson goes there as well. And Russell is expecting to start. So what does this room shake out like? Is Jameis pissed? Is he okay with being the backup? And what is the vibe like going to be between Jameis Winston, ultra positive, Russell Wilson, ultra positive? I feel like they're actually going to butt heads. They're going to be too fucking similar. Where are you at?
I think it'll be chill. Look, Jameis just came from the Browns. That's like a quarterback room that was with Deshaun being there and with the overall culture. And I'm sorry for talking in a degrading manner about your Browns team right now, but like it was pretty fucking bad, right? It was rough, and he still maintained that like extreme outward positivity and was such a character and everything. He was kind of like one of the bright spots, at least culture wise on the team. It seemed like him going there with Russ seems a little bit more subtle, less boisterous, I guess, but I think they're going to be able to vibe off of one another. Jameis obviously is looking for opportunity to play football, but it seems like ever since he's left Tampa Bay, like he's been open to being like, I just want to be on this team and be happy. I'm earning millions of dollars.
Yes.
Like I get a crab leg stipend. I can, be out there in the public spectrum and stuff like that. And of course, as an athlete, as a professional, you probably want to earn a starting spot. And I don't think it's completely out of the question. Like Russ is not what he was 5-6 years ago, obviously, which is why he was a free agent this year, why he's bounced around now. But Russ obviously should be the more stable starting version of a quarterback that you're looking for. But if you need to switch up to a Jameis, it's not a problem. If Russ gets hurt, you're not scared about Jameis going in there. They didn't pay him like a starting quarterback. Jameis, that is. So like he probably went in there with the expectation and understanding the team is not set at quarterback by bringing me in. Their option for more free agents, the options for drafting a quarterback still out there. Now with Russ coming in, it probably changes things a little bit. And honestly, this is probably one of the smartest moves that you can make if you are Joe Shane and Brian Dable, is bringing in these options, because the disparity between last year where you go in with Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito as your 3 quarterbacks to now DeVito again, the Paisano passion, but you got Jameis and you've got Russ there. It's a better quarterback room than they've had probably since Dable has been there, despite the fact that they are mid-level B tier or worse quarterbacks. I think they still have pieces on this team where they could be a competent offense. I love Tyrone Tracy. I don't like him full time, but I love Tyrone Tracy. You got Malik Neighbors. You got Wan'Dale Robinson. You got some decent receiving options there. They need to figure out that offensive line. But now you are not hamstrung into taking a quarterback with the number 3 pick or hoping one falls to you there. You aren't absolutely dead set on having to take a quarterback in the first round. You could wait till later. If they show some life this year, you could extend out Dable and Shane's future on this team, which is exactly what the ownership wanted. They want to see progress. And this theoretically should provide them a pretty heavy level of progress from Daniel Jones and where he was at the year prior, if they draft accordingly. And now it frees them up at pick 3 to stick and pick the best player there,
Yep.
or trade back, and they don't have to feel forced to take a Shadur Sanders if he happens to be there. And I think it changes up a lot of things and a lot of mindset for the teams around them that are going to be drafting as well.
Yeah, so I thought for sure that the Giants were going to try to make a move to either get up to 1 or talk to the Browns, because the Browns have apparently been rumored to be interested in moving around in this draft, whether that's up or down. I think that Andrew Berry is not dead set sure on what he's going to do yet. And the news of Russell Wilson signing really puts the screws to Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, and what this team is going to do, because the quarterback options now become incredibly limited. You have Aaron Rodgers, who is not an option, should not even be discussed as an option. So I'm just going to say his name and say, fuck no, because we shouldn't be talking about him, especially with the culture thing. So you take him out, that leaves you with a Carson Wentz, who's shown some ability, but that has been gone for quite some time. Ryan Tannehill, who very similar to Carson Wentz. And then beyond that, you're looking at a hodgepodge of nobodies and a couple guys that you could maybe trade for in Kyler Murray or Kirk Cousins. Kyler Murray's
O'Connell. I think you get Aiden O'Connell at a pretty cheap price compared to a Kyler or a Kirk, and you're getting that like very milquetoast passing style quarterback, but it's something that is at Kenny Pickett's level or higher, maybe. But like he's got to be an option that's out there.
So it's not somebody I had actually thought of, because I don't
Sam
think
Howell.
Yeah, but they want somebody who's a veteran guy to come in there, because you have to think that the Browns are going to draft somebody at some point, whether that's at 2 with Shadur, which is where I want to go, or if it's later on in the draft, 2nd, 3rd round, maybe it's a Will Howard, who apparently had a great pro day. Pro days don't necessarily mean a lot. Zach Wilson had a great pro day.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to go, but losing the option of Russell Wilson and knowing that Aaron Rodgers has never been an option completely changed the landscape of where this team is going to try to go. Myles Garrett didn't re-sign for whoever the hell we're bringing in right now. I guarantee it, unless it's somebody that they're drafting. If they're going to make a move to get Shadur, if they're going to find a way to move up to get Cam Ward. But that can only be, that's the only option at this point, is we have to draft a quarterback. And it's got to be somebody that we're going to potentially be willing to play this year. It can't be a dude in the 3rd or 4th round who we'll see if he develops. I mean, maybe Deshaun Watson's been putting out workout tapes. He wants to let everybody know he's trying to come back.
Sure. No one wants him there. No one wants him there. I'm not on Browns Twitter as much as you are, but is there still a contingent that's like he'll recover and be our best option going forward?
I think there is a pipe dream that he could come back and prove a lot of people who right now are very wrong right. I think that's the only hope, is that maybe it'll be like, okay, it wasn't so bad. I think that's really the only thing that you could be holding on to, because the play is proof. It's been bad. The quarterback play has been bad for quite some time, which is why you can't roll out with fucking baby hands Pickett, double Achilles Watson, and 2 years removed from Achilles Kirk Cousins. There's got to be another option, but Wentz isn't it. Tannehill, I would entertain, just because I want to see one more time if I've always been intrigued by Tannehill's ability to run as well. I want to see if there's something more there. And I don't think there's any of that there with Carson Wentz. If we're going to take a flyer on a guy, I'd rather do it on Ryan Tannehill. I just don't know where else to go.
It wasn't that long in the past that Tannehill was on a Titans team that he led to double-digit wins in the playoffs. Never thought that he was like an A-tier quarterback, probably not top 10 or anything like that, but obviously he's shown to be competent enough to be able to lead a team and helm a team to that point. But I've got and we talked a little bit about this beforehand, but I've got a couple ideas of what I think the Browns should do. Obviously, we've talked about this in past episodes. I hate the idea of being forced into taking a quarterback at 2.
Right.
It feels that way for you guys right now.
Yes, it does.
But I still hate it. I think that this year's quarterback class, and we're not doing our quarterback rankings today and break down our quarterbacks. But I think you look at a Cam Ward and compare him to a draft class like last year, and he's fitting somewhere in, at best, the Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix range. Most things that I've seen out there fit him in as like the 7th best quarterback in last year's class. We're talking about a guy that's probably going to go number 1 overall. Shedeur Sanders, by most metrics, is not considered a first-round quarterback this year, but he's probably going to go in the first round because of necessity.
He will for sure go in the first. I'm willing to take him as high as 2 to solve our quarterback problem. And I agree, while he is not the second best player in this draft, quarterback as a necessity always pushes it up. And I think Shedeur, in the right system, and there's not every system is going to be right for him, he's going to be special. You send him to a wide zone scheme where you run play action, fucking timing, rhythm offense, like KOC, fucking Stefanski, Shanahan, he's going to be spectacular.
And that's like,
I don't want to start diving too far into the quarterback.
Yeah,
so man,
we don't want to go too far in the quarterback, but I think Shadeur's ceiling is probably something like a Jared Goff. Like, I think that he could be that type of a quarterback. But I've been heavy on trenches for you guys. Like, one of your identities was your run game. The run game got diminished because that offensive line kind of went into the toilet. Like,
yeah, they were not great.
Being able to control the line of scrimmage on defense has been big for you guys, and feeding into that more. There's options there in order to do that through the draft at pick number 2. You could get an Abdul Carter. If you don't do that and you don't feel forced into taking a quarterback there, you could potentially trade down and get yourself Armand Membu or something like that, who I
love Membu.
I think he's the best tackle in the draft.
I think he's the best lineman in this draft. I think he's going to be a way better guard. I think he's all pro guard, no doubt. I don't know if I play him at tackle.
I think that he could be, because he barely meets the metrics and the thresholds, but he meets the thresholds necessary to play tackle, especially a right tackle in the NFL.
Right tackle,
but again,
sure.
We're not talking tackles today either.
No, we're not.
But this is the thing, is I think that, the slight play of I've got big balls is to not take a quarterback at 2 for you guys. And that would be to take a guy in round 2, 3, whatever, develop them. They're basically sacrificial along with Kenny Pickett and whatever other veteran quarterback that you want to have, in a hope that you go and get a guy next year and throw everything that you got at moving up to get a quarterback and already having a higher pick. But there's also a little bit more reckless speculation that
it's time for reckless speculation.
It's been that bad boy up. But look, you look at the teams that need a quarterback in this draft. Titans, obviously. You guys at 2. Pick 3. But the Giants, it's less.
It's not as necessary.
They can absolutely take a quarterback still, but this GM, this head coach, they are in much more of a win now mindset, and they know that the quarterbacks aren't great this year. So let's bring in veterans. Let's make the rest of our team better and get by until next year when we can take a stab. And hopefully we'll still be employed next year to take that stab, right?
Right.
So they don't need to. Then the next team up behind them is probably the Jets at 7. But I don't know if they'll go that route or not. I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to feel forced into doing that with Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields on the roster.
I think he would be fine with Justin Fields, reset, get everything going for his program, what he wants to do, his culture, and then if next year reapproach in the draft if it doesn't work out. In a quarterback draft that's supposed to be way fucking better than this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you look further down the board, the next time that you're looking at a team that really could be looking at a quarterback now, that since you no longer have that with the Raiders because they got Geno, You've got Pittsburgh, who might be bringing in Rodgers, and maybe the Rams. The Rams aren't long in the tooth with or are long in the tooth with Stafford. So this is my reckless big ball play of the year for your Browns. And I think I've seen it a little bit out there on the interwebs. At pick 2, you don't take quarterback. You take Travis Hunter, right? You have a need at wide receiver. Andrew Berry said that they see him as a wide receiver. You need cornerback help too. Cool. Either way, a lot of flexibility there. And if you are dead set on going after a quarterback this year, then you package up pick 33, a first round next year, and whatever else out of this draft that you need to move back into the first round, probably by pick 20 or 19, something like that, something early enough that you don't have to worry about the Steelers, and you go up there and you take Shedeur, because I think Shedeur would still be on the board at that point. Then you get Travis Hunter, you get Shedeur, you've reunited that Colorado Buffalo grouping right there. You have your quarterback of the future. Hopefully, you're going to be leaning into him. And worst case, Stefanski has a bad year. He gets canned.
Boom.
Daddy Dion comes in.
Yeah, baby.
That's your new head coach. And you immediately become the Cleveland Buffaloes.
Cleveland Brown Buffaloes, baby. And you just gave every fan in Cleveland a fucking hard on.
That becomes exciting. All right. That's not the trench play that I want, because I think after that point, after you move up, you get Shedeur, you get Travis Hunter. Now, yeah, you still need to find a running back. There's a lot of them in this draft that you can take a shot at. But you go very heavy into the trenches after that point, because you want to provide good, stable line play for Shedeur Sanders. And look, you're looking at Travis Hunter, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman and David Njoku as your receiving core. Like, you got to figure out the line, you got to figure out the running game, but that's sounds like it could be pretty damn dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You guys already have an average above average defense. Like, that's the big ball play. If Andrew Berry's got a huge set of clackers on him.
Come on, Andrew. Laserize this.
You could roll the dice on that. No. Hear me out. You do that. You take Travis Hunter and you hope and try to trade back up into the first round. If for some reason you get past Pittsburgh and they have Aaron Rodgers and they don't take Shedeur, my Vikings will gladly start to trade with you. And at that point, at 24, you don't got to look at a first round pick next year. You're talking about getting a pick 33 and probably a third round pick this year. And that probably gets it done for the Vikings to trade down with you to get you to pick 24 to get Shedeur. But let's say that doesn't work out. You take Travis Hunter, and then somewhere in the teens, a team moves up and takes Shedeur, and now you don't have that option. Oh, well, like, that sucks, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because then your team is probably going to suck again this year. You could take a quarterback to develop in round 2, 3, 4 or something like that, but if they don't work out, no big deal. You're in a good position then next year to go there and try to draft a quarterback that will be your quarterback of the future with a better infrastructure around him. And you're still probably going to have that second round pick at pick 33. You go out there and you take a Quinshon Judkins if he's still there, or a Marion Hampton if he's still there. Like, you get your running back and you still just filter into the trenches, take a flyer at a quarterback. But oh well, it's not a big deal. This is just going to be a down year while you reset your roster. But you just got one of the most unique unicorn players in the draft in Travis Hunter. You probably got your running back in the future. And you probably got a couple linemen that are going to be big for you going into the future when you do go after that quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the big ball play. That's the smart move if you're looking at long-term team building, which is scary for a quarterback, or not for a quarterback, but for a head coach and a GM who
need a quarterback to prove that they can fucking win.
Yeah, they are on the hot seat. But if they get ownership behind it, say like, hey, this is the big ball play that we're doing, it might not work out this year, or it could work out really cool this year. We're about to move into a new stadium and all this shit, and we're going to have a Travis Hunter and possibly Shedeur. Like, would you rather us go for the Hail Mary or take Shedeur at 2 and possibly limit a little bit of that shine? We're going to have a quarterback. We might be a bit more competitive this year, but I don't know. Like, I feel like I could sell that to ownership. Trust me, trust the process. we're going to take a shot at this. And if it doesn't work this year, we'll be in a better spot next year to make it work. I don't know.
Yeah, listen, if we can fucking find a way to swing it where we get Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, and we can get Shadur later, I would be ecstatic. I think that would be fantastic. It would be really, really cool to see. And if it doesn't work out with Stefanski, oh well. Coach Dion can come right on in. And like I said earlier, I want to make sure we're being inclusive on our show. I said everybody was getting boners. That also includes lady boners. Those are also more than welcome to if we get, Shadur Sanders and
basements flooded.
Travis Hunter.
Put out the wet
absolutely.
floor sign. Get your towels out.
Absolutely.
Sure.
If we find a way to make that work, that's probably what will happen. I don't know if we can pull off some crazy draft day type shit where Andrew Berry makes that work, but it'd be cool to see.
Look, you know how they always do the camera shots in the war room?
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be a way that you guys get Kevin Costner to be sitting in there next to Andrew Berry. That would be the best war room shot ever.
It would be good. It would be really fucking good.
I want my picks back.
And I want David goddamn Putney.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Classic movie. All right, brother. Are we ready to get off of that and start talking about some prospects? Because we got a lot of guys to cover. We're talking tight ends and defensive ends. The name of tonight's show, Mike's tight end, was one of the recommendations when the Lineman Lounge first was conceptualized as a name for the show. Our guy Torres came up with that. It never made it on the show, but you know what? Now it has. Wanted to make sure that we got that on here for Torres. So the name of today's show is Mike's tight end. So with that, my man, let's start talking about some prospects. Let's start with tight ends and the best tight end in this draft. It's pretty simple to figure it out.
All
Tyler
right.
Warren.
Let's pull up old PFF here.
PFF.
It's nice. Before we get too deep into it,
Yes.
just wanted to say there was another big signing. Stephon Diggs goes.
Yes, he did. I forgot about
to the
Stephon
Patriots.
Diggs.
Big money for a guy coming off an ACL tear, but look, Patriots have a lot of money. They need receiving help for Drake May. Could be a pretty good signing for him. But with that, we'll get into tight ends here. So Tyler Warren, like you said, probably easily the best tight end in this draft. I fucking love him. Like he is going to be special. Comparing him to previous tight ends in previous drafts here, i.e. Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta, where do you kind of fit him in that class of players? Like, how would you rank those three guys?
Gosh, if I had to rank those three,
It's tough, right?
I would go. Yeah, it is tough. God, I love Laporta. Warren, Bowers, maybe.
This is the tough part, is that I liked Laporta in the draft he came out in, but not as high as he went. Like, if I'm thinking about where they were at as prospects,
that's true. Yeah,
I think Bowers and Warren are a lot closer together. Bowers obviously being more of a receiving tight end. Tyler Warren is kind of your do-it-all, can block, can receive, can run, can fucking throw, can do everything type of special player. They're different types of tight ends, but to me, it's very neck and neck between Tyler Warren and Brock Bowers in how they would be ranked, with Laporta being a third. And Laporta obviously is one of those better tight ends in the league. He had a little bit of a down year last year, but still, Tyler Warren, that's the type of special player that we're talking about, game-changing type of tight end. He's going to be mixed in with those names like a Mark Andrews of previous years, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. He's going to be listed amongst those types of tight ends because of what he can bring to an offense. That's why you see him regularly, not always, but a lot more frequently, crack the top 10 in a lot of mock drafts, because he's such a unique weapon that you don't get this type of tight end coming out very often. Obviously, huge PFF grade this year, over 1,200 receiving yards, and 104 receptions, which is just an absolute astronomical amount for a tight end. But it doesn't even get into the other stuff that he did. You can use him as that kind of H-back where he's going to run the ball. He can block. He's not the best blocking. He's not a Tony Gonzalez type of blocker or whatever. He's, in my mind, a lot closer to a Jeremy Shockey, where he is good receiver, good blocker, but I think athletically he's a better version of a Jeremy Shockey. And then he's got some of that just razzle dazzle where he can throw the ball and do things too. Like it's very unique what he can do and who he is, and that's why he's worthy of a top 15 pick.
Yeah, man. So I like Tyler Warren. I like Tyler Warren a lot. And you asked me that question. The first thing I have right here is the Do Everything tight end has the potential to be a household name, just like fellow rookie tight ends before him in Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta. Like those are guys that, because normally rookie tight ends don't come out and have massive years. But we've seen it over the last few years, and Tyler Warren seems like for sure the next breakout guy. He's a capable blocker. He's willing to block, but he's not a great blocker. Not necessarily going to beat guys deep, but is a really, really good route runner. His expectations are really high. He might be regarded as second best pass catcher in this draft. Potentially the best, depending on what people think of Tet. Like Tyler Warren and his hands are spectacular.
He does have a very, very large catch radius. Yeah.
Like he is special in every way. Doesn't matter what team ends up drafting. I think they're going to get a really, really good guy. I don't know that I think he's more of just your receiver, though. Like he will block. So the Jeremy Shockey thing, I remember Jeremy Shockey just fucking digging dudes out and being an asshole. I don't know if Tyler Warren's quite that. I think more like a Dallas Clark, like good, really damn good receiver. Fucking, I think they even wore the same damn number, 44. So that's where I get the vibe. Maybe it's the 44 that gives me that vibe, but that's kind of where I see him. I love Tyler Warren. I think no matter who gets this kid's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that he can be a receiver, but he's an inline tight end who can also split out wide. Like he does kind of everything that you want from him, and he's a willing participant in all of it. So that's what makes him fun. You look at a lot of these more modern tight ends, you either have a guy who's good at receiving or good at blocking. He's an above average blocker, but he's not a blocking tight end. That's the thing. So
well, and I love. I mean, and you can see the number right there. His contested catch rate, almost 62%. I mean, that's absurd. Let him go.
Awesome player. I don't think that there's any argument there from anyone. Next up here, though, Colson Loveland on the PFF board, and I agree that he's the second best tight end. I don't think that there's like a gigantic delta between the two. I think Colson Loveland's absolutely a first round style tight end, but very different. This is your traditional, like you aren't expecting Colson Loveland to go out there blocking for you. He is a receiver. He is a big wide receiver.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what I got him as well. Playmaking, move tight end, big threat in the passing game, not a blocker. Even in Michigan, man, they didn't really have him block a lot. They had him moved out. He played out of the slot a bunch. Yeah. What scares me is that there's a team at the back half of the draft, back half of the first draft, where he perfectly fits. He replaces Travis Kelce like a glove. No problem. Like you swap them out and you never even notice the difference on that Kansas City team. And that's right around where he's kind of projected to be drafted. The back half of that first round. I think that I don't think he'll fall away into the second round. I think somebody's going to like his pass catching ability. He's not a blocker, not a guy that you're necessarily going to go and throw it up to either. You can see the contested catch rate is not high. He's a guy that gets schemed open and wins with his physical traits. He is tall, he is long, and he runs really fucking well.
Yeah. Look, when I was watching JJ McCarthy tape, I saw so much of Colson Loveland that I was like, I really want this guy, even though he wasn't available in last year's draft. Like he's an awesome receiver, just a big body receiver. Tight end is almost a bit of a misnomer. He's like that joker receiver type just because he is so big. But yeah, you're seeing him go around pick 20 and later. Obviously, there's a lot of Sean Payton connection because he likes those types of tight ends. Obviously he's had them when he was with the Saints and whatnot. You could see a Harbaugh going after his guy from when he was with Michigan. You did see a bit of a drop off this year from Colson Loveland. Statistically, obviously not as good as the year prior, but they also had a big drop off in quarterback play.
Huge.
And so that is probably what drops him a little bit. If they had the same sort of quarterback play, you could be seeing him much higher, top 15 style pick as a receiver. But definitely a first round type of guy. Very, very fun tape to watch. If you want to see some really cool receiving tight end type of stuff out of college football, he's definitely one to throw up on the YouTube and watch.
Yes, he is. All right, brother. So where do you want to go to next? Because I got a gap here. I didn't do a write-up on Arroyo. My next guy I got is Fannin. But if you want to talk about any of these guys in here, let's stop and do it.
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it real simple. Elijah Arroyo is another receiving type of tight end. I have seen him talked about in that second round range and sometimes breaking to the first. I don't see that. I definitely think he's more of a late second type of tight end as just primarily a receiving guy. And then I'm not super high on a lot of these other ones. Harold Fannin, another guy that you said you wanted to talk about here. He's a unique one because he's a little bit lighter in weight, but this guy also receiving tight end, but he's an athletic freak.
Yes.
And that's what really makes him interesting. You can see here, receiving grade 96.4. The guy is just a true receiver.
Yeah,
He's
look
fast.
at the yards this last year.
Completely yoked up. And yes, almost 1,600 receiving yards there with 10 touchdowns on 117 receptions. He was Bowling Green's receiver, essentially. He just happened to play out of the tight end spot because of his general size, 6'4", 230. And young. And he's young.
And not 6'4".
Room to grow.
Measured in at 6'3". So the 6'4" is wrong there. So he's 6'3", 230. So and I on my write-up here, I'm gonna say something that is kind of probably gonna shock people. I don't necessarily do a lot of comps. Not everybody's gonna get a comp from me. But if I see it, if it just pops out to me, I do the comp. And this one was for sure like holy shit. Fannin, he's an undersized guy at the tight end spot. 6'3", 230, kind of light. Blocks pretty well. You can see the run block rate, 75. Not a great blocker, but moves well enough that will get angles on you. On top of that, man, his ability to catch the ball and then create after the catch. You talked about him being yoked up. He looks like fucking Debo. He is just a muscle hamster. His production is crazy. And when you watch any of the clips, you see he's just a fucking dog. I'm going to say a name, and I don't want you to freak out, but he reminds me of fucking Shannon Sharp, dude. Like the undersized guy really just fights for everything. And I like Fannin a lot. I think he's a later pick, round 3 at the highest, probably 4 or 5. But man, I like this kid's ability. I think he could be really, really special, especially if you get him in a place where you get him moving side to side.
Yeah,
if you can, go ahead.
Despite having a good run block grade here, he wasn't really asked to do that, and you see that he had 150 fucking targets. Like when he was asked to run block, he did all right, but that's because it probably wasn't expected for him to be run blocking. So he's able to get the upper hand on guys. This guy is a receiver. He does kind of fit that Shannon Sharp size mold for sure. Like Njoku is someone that I've heard him referred to as well, being similar to. So he's going to be a fun guy. And this is a guy that you can get in late round 3, round 4, possibly, as a pretty solid option. I don't know if you want him to be your number 1 tight end eventually, because he is more of a receiver. But if he develops more as a blocker, then obviously that's a pretty damn good option. So other guys here, Gunnar Helm, I'm not super high on. Like he's a name that was talked about a lot, but just never really produced. Didn't look even that great at the combine.
Yeah.
What other names did you have that you want to talk about here in the tight end? Because I've
The
got
only-
one more that I'm a big fan of.
One more guy at the end of the draft for me. It's tight end. I'm sorry, tight end, Iowa. Tight ends out of Iowa. I love him. Luke Lachey.
All right, going all the way down here to Luke Lachey. I don't have a ton on him, other than the fact that he went to Iowa,
Yeah.
which those guys tend to end up producing.
Yeah, they always do, man.
But yeah,
This guy had
6'6", 247.
Actually, so I don't typically get too much into RAS scores, but I was taking a look the other day. This guy's RAS score pretty high, 8.69, one of the highest of the tight ends of the group. Iowa, not typically a really offensive school recently, so you're not going to see a lot of him. But I guess I'd like some of his makeup. He's got the size, got the build, runs well, blocks okay. You want to see him block a little bit better. Has all of the things that would make him a good tight end, all the makeup. But it just never came together because Iowa's offense is dog shit. I don't know that I blame Luke nearly as much as I blame the offensive system out there in Iowa. He's a guy that I think at the end of the draft, you take a flyer on, he sticks around as a tight end 3, tight end 4, plays some special teams, but has the physical makeup, could be a steal just on his size and his athletic profile.
Yeah, you look at PFF stuff here that he's probably going to be drafted due to the pedigree of the school, and how they've been able to churn out some good tight ends. My late round guy here is Rondé Gadsden the second.
We were close.
Does that name
right
sound familiar
there.
to you?
No.
His dad was a big time receiver back in the day for the Miami Dolphins and a couple other squads. That's what first drew me to him, was like, I know this fucking name. It's interesting. I know this name. I've heard it before. Dad was a big time player in the NFL back in the day. And this is another dude that is a receiving tight end for sure. Lean for a tight end. But Gadsden, you look at his PFF grades here. At Syracuse, he's been a big time receiver for him, especially last year. 73 catches on 103 targets, 934 yards and 7 touchdowns. He has the height that you're looking for at 6'5", but he is lean. He's 230. This is a Marcus Colston style guy who is not going to be expected to line up in line. He's not that blocking type of tight end, despite having a better run blocking grade than some of the other guys that we've talked about. But contested catch rate again, 60.7%, real damn good. He is a good receiving tight end that you are able to find 5th round or later right now. I'm a huge fan of him, as like you aren't expecting him to play that traditional tight end role. He is that split out wide tight end.
Okay. I have not. I'm going to check the damn. He's got great grades and looked like he was going to have 3 years of production, if not for the injury in the second year there.
Yeah. I'm, like I said, big fan of him. He's someone that a lot of times when I accumulate more picks in my Vikings mock drafts, I find my way to get him. The PFF boards, once you get into those late rounds, people just start going chalk when they're doing their own drafts, which kind of manipulates the average draft position because they don't know these guys. I'm seeing him in around pick 220, 218 quite often. I think that he will definitely go higher than that in the actual draft, just based off of A, his pedigree, and B, production. All
right. Well, brother, I don't have any other tight ends that I wanted to get into. Do you have any other tight ends?
No, sir. Let's get on into these edges.
Yeah, because there's going to be a bunch of these guys that we're going to have probably interesting conversations about. The edge class is pretty good. I don't know how you feel about all these guys. I know how I feel about some of them. Some of these guys are hard reads. They haven't done a lot of work. Some of these guys are kind of one-year wonders, like a Mike Green. Some of them are one-year wonders, like an Abdul Carter, who's done it for multiple years but has changed position. A lot of moving parts on a lot of these edge rushers. You have write-ups on, I think, 8, 9, 10, fucking how many of these guys? A ton of these guys you have.
A bunch of them. That's when we talked earlier, I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to limit myself to around 8, 9 guys. But yeah, I like a lot of this edge class. There's a lot of really interesting players in this edge class, especially in rounds 1 through 2. There is a drop off that is going to happen. I don't have a ton of guys late round that I'm a big fan of, but into round 2, I think there's a lot of guys there that could be good rotational starters year 1, developing into prime time type of defensive ends. But Abdul Carter, he's number 2 out of everybody in this class, according to PFF. I think that he's right there. Him and Travis Hunter are probably going to be talked about as the best players in this draft. What are your thoughts on Abdul Carter?
I mean, explosive first step, much like his former teammate Chop Robinson, ran pass rush moves. But the thing that I love when you watch him, his shoulders, the way he manipulates and moves his shoulders. He moves tackles with his shoulders before he ever even gets there. He doesn't get punched. He's throwing feints and slips and avoiding the first shot, and that's how he's getting home. So when you watch him, you're like, well, he's just running around people. He's not just running around people. When you really focus, when you actually look, watch what he's doing. His movement is so fluid because he was an off-ball linebacker. It's crazy when you watch the way he can maneuver around the edge. The bend is good. You want to see him get stronger. There's sure questions about the run grades. Is he strong enough to play D end against the run in the NFL? People have questioned the weight. I think he's probably going to be fine. He's a really special athlete. Is he a guy that I expect to be sealing the edge every single time? No, he is a pass rusher. That's what you want this guy doing. He gets after the pass rusher in multiple ways. I think he's a stud. I think he's probably one of the best pass rushers in this class, especially when you figure out how he's beating people. Because it's not just him running around guys. He's not just so supremely agile. He's very nuanced with what he's doing. It's really cool to watch. What do you got on him, man?
Yeah, that's you brought up that shoulder movement. He is taking these offensive tackles who and guards for that matter, when he twists, they can't react as quick as he can. So he is putting the jukes on them and they're not able to recover quick enough. He's not running around guys. He's just getting guys in positions where they cannot get their hands on him. Because he's got such good agility, such good explosiveness. And that comes a lot from his days of playing that stand-up linebacker. I do think that he fits perfect in a 3-4. He hasn't had to seal the edge as much, and he has a decent run grade. But he is just like a true blue, incredible pass rusher. You brought up Chop Robinson. You're not supposed to scout the helmet, but they've had some pretty damn good guys come out of there. He looks like a bigger version of Micah Parsons to me with the agility explosion that he has.
Yeah.
And there was always that question about Micah Parsons. Can he actually be like a hand in the ground type of defensive end? And he showed that he can do that. He showed that he can be a stand-up edge, hand in the dirt edge. I think you probably get the same sort of feeling from an Abdul Carter here, except for I still don't want him to put his hand in the dirt. I want him to be that stand-up edge rusher type of player. I think that best fits him, but he's got a better body size to fit that sort of a role than a Micah Parsons does. And I kind of feel like that's what his ceiling is that Micah Parsons type of range.
I think so as well. I wonder if him in a 4-3 is the best move. I think he's probably better as a 3-4 outside linebacker. 4-3, I think he has to be the premier pass rusher. I don't know that the fit makes sense. I mean, obviously, if Myles Garrett, Abdul Carter getting after the pass rusher would be insane to watch. I would be interested to see how we play against the run game. A lot of talk about Abdul Carter being there available for the Browns, about the Browns being interested in taking him because he is generational. I think that he is going to be a really, really good pass rusher. I don't know if he is the right fit for the Browns because we need a quarterback so bad. But goddamn, when you watch him on he's really good. It makes you wonder if he can hold up in the run game, and he and Miles can be opposite of each other, just what kind of damage that defense could do.
Yeah. I think he probably needs to. It's tough because he is 255, but you maybe add another 5-10 pounds
10
or something like
pounds,
that.
yeah.
It's like if you want him to hold it better in the running game, but I mean, he hasn't been asked to be that 4-3 end, so we really don't know what the maximum potential he has there. But with how much he's progressed, how explosive and incredible he's been, he's one of the few true blue chip prospects in this draft class, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's really, really fucking good.
All right. Who do you want to talk about next? The guys listed here aren't necessarily like my next guys in order of who I like best. Not that they're not, but I'm kind of a mixed bag, and I feel like there's the next 4, 5, 6 guys are kind of like pick your poison, what fits best for your system type of edge rushers.
So I can talk Mike Green, I can talk Pierce, Michael Williams. My guy that I really like, even though I like him a lot. He's probably my favorite guy to watch just because he's the dude that does exactly what's told by the coach. Goes 100% no matter what, and he makes massive mistakes, and he doesn't give a fuck. And it's Shamar Stewart out of fucking Texas A&M.
Yeah, let's talk about him because this guy absolutely had a great combine. Looked really good at the Senior Bowl. What are your thoughts on Shamar Stewart? Because I do absolutely have thoughts of him. I think that he could go anywhere from the end of the first round all the way up into the top 10.
So I don't know about that high, but so he reminds me, like, do you remember when you were a kid, your coaches would tell you if you're gonna make a mistake, do it at 100%.
Absolutely.
That's fucking Shamar Stewart to the T. You will see him all out of position, all sorts of the time. He does not necessarily know what's going on all the time. He is a very, very raw football player, but he is huge. He is athletic. And if somebody teaches him what the fuck to do, he's going to be really good at football. He's going to be super, super good. I mean, he tested out of his mind. I just don't think that he has played enough football or had enough coaching, high quality coaching, to take him as high as he could go. I like Shamar Stewart a lot. He's one of my favorite guys. He just needs to get somewhere where they can teach this kid more football.
Yeah. He's an interesting one. And we're also going to talk about Michael here right after this, I think, because they are kind of in the same boat with a lot of different things. Both athletic freaks, very minimal college production. What you said about Shamar Stewart there kind of being raw but talented physically, I like his potential better than Michael, simply because Texas A&M is not known for their like outstanding pass rushers recently. Like their defensive linemen are not great pass rushers, and I believe that is coaching, but big part of it is scheme. They're not asked to be those pass rushers, but they have guys like Shamar Stewart, who I think could absolutely blossom into one of the better and scarier pass rushers at his size in the NFL, who can be very scheme versatile. He can play that hand in the dirt 4-3 end. He could be a stand-up guy. To me, he reminds me a lot of a Danielle Hunter with a better bend, because Danielle Hunter in college, very, very bad stats. That's why he fell all the way to the 4th round. And then he comes in and becomes one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. And he's shown now that he can both play hand in the dirt 4-3 end or stand up. He did a little bit of that in Flores' scheme as a 3-4 end. He's got the ability to do all that. He is raw, but he's going to be able to suck up that knowledge like a sponge, I think, at the next level if he's put in the correct scheme. And when you go after an edge rusher this high, the first thing you want to check off the box is, can they rush the pass? I think that he can. He just wasn't asked to. And that's the thing, is it's a bit of a gamble. But you're talking about a guy who's 6'6", 290, and he moves and has insane athletic skills like this guy. It just seems like he wasn't
wild
asked,
man.
It seems like he wasn't asked to be that sort of a pass rusher in college. but he's absolutely going to be asked to do that at the NFL level. On top of that, though, he is able to set an edge. He is able to be a good run defender. So you're getting that out of him at a minimum with plus potential to develop into a very good pass rusher. Like, I think worst case, he ends up being like a 4-sack guy a year. Best case, you're talking 10 plus.
12. Yeah, 10, 12. I think probably in that range.
Yeah.
But will play the run really well. He's all the things that Jadeveon Clowney turned into, which by Jadeveon Clowney's standards was a bust because he was supposed to be this exceptional pass rusher. But he had a really, really solid career. Has had one. Gets some sacks, plays the run really well. That's exactly what Shamar Stewart is going to be, I think, for sure.
I think that's early.
Yeah, for sure. Early, that's where he is. But, all right. But go ahead.
That kind of brings us to a Michael Williams. It's the same sort of a situation. All right. My internet might be going out here. Bear with me.
You're good.
Michael Williams, though, 6'5", 265, a little bit lighter, was not asked to be the same traditional sort of pass rusher in Georgia's defense. His best game in college was in the playoffs last year. Or not last year, 2 years ago, where they actually used him as a stand-up edge, and he was fucking phenomenal. And they said, yeah, this is probably what we're going to do with him. And then 2024, they didn't do it. And I don't know why. But you're seeing just kind of man production, 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 6 sacks over the past couple of years. But as a stand-up guy, I think in the playoffs, he had, like, when he did stand up in that last game 2 years ago, I think he had 2 in that game alone. Like, that's where you start to see his true potential. I am a little bit more worried about him developing into that true blue pass rusher. He reminds me a lot of who was the first overall pick by the Jaguars the year Aiden Hutchinson was taken. Tavon,
not Austin. Jesus, I don't know.
Josh Hines Allen. I can't think of his name. That's the thing is that guy developed into Tavon Walker. He reminds me a lot of him. Athletic freak. And then it was drafted high based on potential. You're looking at the same thing with the Shamar Stewart drafting on potential and Michael Williams, except for Shamar Stewart didn't get a chance to show it in college, I think. Whereas Michael Williams had the opportunity to show it and showed it a little bit more than Shamar Stewart, but still, like, you're gambling a little bit more, in my opinion, with Michael Williams. Worst case, you get a good hand of the dirt 4-3 defensive end who's very good, very stout against the run. But if you're talking about him being taken higher in the first round, you want more pass rush capability than what I kind of saw out of him.
Yeah, I agree. And when you dig into it, his pro day didn't exactly pop off and wow anybody with his 40 time. 4.74 for his size. You'd want to see a little bit faster. So that is one of the things that does worry me a little bit about his ceiling. But I'm not necessarily down on him. He's an excellent run defender. This is this very similar thing that we just talked about with Shamar Stewart. His floor is going to be like that Greg Rousseau type. Like, he will play the run really well, maybe get you some sacks every once in a while. He's somewhere in that 25 to 60 range. He shouldn't be talked about real high in this draft, but I don't think that he is a bad player. He's an average guy. That's where a lot of these dudes are going to fall in this draft. He lands perfectly right there. I wouldn't have him high in the first round just because, like you brought up, doesn't get after the passer enough. Unless you see something on tape that people are just not seeing, maybe, you find something where they were utilizing him as that stand-up guy. But I think he's going to be a solid player, just not somebody I would be targeting high in the first round.
And that's what's interesting about this draft in general is we do have a small handful of blue chip players. Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Jeanty. And to me, I think Armand Membu is starting to get closer to that in that blue chip level, but he's just outside right now. After that, when you're looking at picks 10 through 50, 55, the delta between those players is not huge. That's it is a really good top end draft, but you're not looking at guys who are all necessarily first round players. by most metrics. These guys are low end first round players that'll even be taken as high as, 13, 14, 15 potentially. And it is going to be dependent very much so on the coaching staff, the scheme, and what they think they see as a potential for this guy. Which I think will make it interesting for trades and trade downs and how much teams are going to be willing to be aggressive to kind of trade, because they might have very similar grades on a lot of players at different positions. Michael Williams being one of those. Let's not overlook here Mike Green, James Pierce, Ezraku, guys like that. We'll at least talk about them. Mike Green obviously looked phenomenal at Senior Bowl as well. You look at all these 2024 grades here, all very high. The guy is like a phenomenal pass rusher. Run defense grade is really good. He's a little bit undersized. He does not look 6'4" to me, but he definitely looks like he's that 240 or lower. He's not a guy that I want hand in the dirt type of rusher, but he is a fantastic explosive pass rusher who I think is dropping a little bit in drafts because of the off the field stuff that has kind of been brought up about him.
I like Mike Green. He's got a plethora of pass rush moves. Obviously, you can see by the stats. Obviously, he gets after the pass rusher. Only a couple years of production. Obviously, we see the red shirt sophomore, but the entire time he's been on the field, he has been incredibly productive. Speed, strength. I mean, he does everything that you want, but he didn't do hardly any of the testing. He has some off the field questions. So there are some question marks, but when you look at everything on the field, it looks spectacular. He looks like he might be the best pass rusher in this class when you just look at the tape. But you also have to take into account the level of competition he's going against. He's playing at Marshall. He's going against a lower level of competition. So he damn sure should have dominated, and he did. I think Mike is going to be a really, really good player. I think this is another guy that you take him and you're very happy. As long as everything works out with off the field, you have no complaints. He doesn't fit every scheme, though. He's got to be a 3-4 outside linebacker. So a team who doesn't run that scheme, I don't know what you do with him, because I don't think you can put him hand in the dirt. I just don't know that you'd want to put him there. But then again, we could see, I mean, we've seen some of that stuff in the past. It's happened before, where you take a guy who maybe is not a traditional 4-3 guy, turn him into one, and they prosper there.
Yeah, this is by no means any sort of perfect comparison at all, but like the type of pass rusher that I see him being able to be is a Dwight Freeney to a Von Miller type of pass rusher. Like he has those high-end capabilities. But again, you did bring it up. He played at lower level competition and he was very dominant. He did do good against higher level competition, your Virginia Techs, your Ohio States, things like that. And then when he went to the Senior Bowl, he also looked fantastic. He was the one, I believe, that put Josh Connerly on his ass.
Yeah.
That we talked about quite a bit. Now, as far as the off the field stuff, in his past, there's some sexual assault allegations, caused him to switch schools. Obviously, we aren't, smart enough to talk on that because there is very little information out there about it. But NFL teams are going to have, PIs and everything. If they're interested in this guy, they're going to be deeply involved to figure out what's going on, what his teammates think of him, what happened in those situations. And if that is a potential continuing issue, because when we're talking about a guy that's going to be taken potentially as high as in the top 15 in some mock drafts, you want to make sure you're getting a person that's going to have good character and not be causing problems where you're not going to have them on the field on Sundays.
Absolutely, man.
All righty. Another guy who is, interesting size guy, some potential off the field or on the field, however you want to look at it, types of issues. James Pierce, I really like how he performed at the combine. Obviously, I enjoy his size in height. I think he needs to pack on more weight. He needs to get better as a run defender. but he's a pretty damn good pass rusher. Just some questions about maturity.
Yeah. I mean, you brought it up. Obviously, he's tall. His arms are long as fuck. Like, he is going to be able to reach quarterbacks from spots that a quarterback should not be reached. He will probably generate a lot of fumbles. The 40, obviously explosive athlete, but yeah, man. There are things that you have to question. And I don't know if it's the play so much. Maybe if you wanted to complain about one thing is run defense, but are you worried that teams are taking him off the board? That
I think that it is going to be a pure coach culture type of a question. Because there's some reports out there that at the combine they talked to him and other teammates, and they were all like, he was fucking fantastic. Loved him. Great teammate, great to coach. And then you hear some other reports, he's tough to coach. He doesn't want to listen.
100% opposite. Like, he is a terrible human being, reports.
Yeah. Like, look, for what it's worth, he's not even 22 years old yet.
We know fuck all about this human being. We have never met him. We just see the things that are on the internet.
Absolutely. Like, he might have an ego about him. A lot of top athletes who are going to be taken or looked at as first round guys have insane egos about him. With correct coaching, you can definitely help that. With a correct room of other edge rushers, you can help correct that, or other defenders, veterans, guys who can show them guys how to be adults and act like professionals. I'm not willing to go out on James Pierce and say like he's a character concern unless you are going to a place where they're going to allow that character concern to run wild. If this guy ends up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's probably going to be right there alongside George Pickens fighting motherfuckers maybe. I don't know. But if you put him in a system like with Dan Campbell, I think that he probably will grow into being a fine fucking NFL professional, a good player. Like, as far as purely on the field, he is one of the better pass rushers in this draft. You look at pass rush win rate, 23%, fantastic. Like, he has a good run defense grade. I think that he definitely needs to get stronger to play in the NFL.
It's because he's so fucking tall and long and he looks lean as hell.
Yeah, he's got good bend though. He's got extremely long arms, like you brought up, so he's able to keep that distance between him and the tackle rushing around the edge. That's going to allow him to get home. As a pass rusher, I think that he's fantastic. He's first round quality player who, especially in mock drafts recently, has been falling to the later part of that first round because of those potential concerns about the character. I'm not willing to say that it's a problem yet because there are varying reports, some that are golden, some that are, hey, he's an asshole. We talked about assholes earlier. Michael Jordan was a big asshole, but if he's really fucking good and he's able to uplift the team around him, it doesn't matter. I'll take an asshole like that.
You're kind of asshole.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Donnie Ezaraku. Thoughts on him?
Small. He's really fucking small. Once again, he's one of those players. I don't necessarily spend a ton of time on these guys because they're not going to play on my team. I'm not interested in 3-4 outside linebackers because I play a 4-3 defense. I think at some point that this guy is going to get an opportunity. He'll be an average pass rusher. I don't know that his bend is great, but when you're out in the wide nine playing for a team like Pittsburgh, you don't have to have great bend.
Hey, look, I see this guy mocked a lot to the Packers now too, because of the Boston College connection. His old D coordinator Hafley is there with the Packers now. So that's around the range that I think that I could see him fall to, 23 years later. Look, high character kid, high motor, extremely smart, good against the run. He is undersized height wise, and he is somewhat limited as a pass rusher despite getting 14 sacks this last year. I think that he is a high floor, lower ceiling type of player. And again, he fits perfectly in that mold of like, hey, get picks like 15 through 55. You're going to get a wash of players, and it's kind of like pick your poison, pick what you want. He's going to be a good player, I think. It isn't in my head. Is he a first round player? Not necessarily, but could he go in the first round? Absolutely. Like some of the guys that we talked about in previous episodes, Maxwell Harrison, cornerback. Is he a good player? Yes. Is he a first round player? Maybe to some. I don't see him as a first round guy, but could he go in the first round? Absolutely. That's kind of where I'm at on Donnie Ezeraku. Like, I like him. I like his tenacity, his motor, his IQ. Do I think that he's that top end type of talent where I want to take him in the first round? Not necessarily, but he's one of those guys that could fall to the second round and feel like a steal in a couple years.
Yeah. So most of these guys are right around that exact profile. I mean, we can talk about Donnie. I mean, another guy a little bit different who I have here, fucking TJ Tuimoloau. I like, but is not necessarily a guy that's going to go and beat you around the edge with his speed. More of a 4-3 guy, what I'm kind of looking for. Strong, plays the run well, kind of your bookend type guy. There's a lot of those kind of bookend type guys, and then your exceptional pass rushers in this draft, I feel like, are those guys that profile more as your 3-4 outside linebackers. Those are the guys that everybody's kind of getting hyped up. The only guy that maybe is scheme versatile to that level is your Abdul Carter at the top. Otherwise, I think your 4-3 guys are your TJ Tuimoloau, who I like, rotational, fits the run well. We'll get a couple of sacks. Maybe people are really high on Jack Sawyer. I love Jack just because I'm an Ohio State guy. But once again, he's a rotational piece.
The college football playoff gave him a really big bump for a little bit where he was talked about in the first round a lot. And then I think people have kind of resettled on where his average range is. Him, Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, both second round type of players for me, possibly leaking into the third a little bit. Where, like you kind of said, they're not going to like blow your pants off, but they're going to be high floor players, good against the run, good 4-3 edge setting type of guys. Though Jack Sawyer is a little bit more of a pass rusher in my mind than he is a pure, do all type of defensive end.
I would agree. Jack probably has a little bit more pass rush capability. I like Jack. I just don't know that his game is going to translate as well into the NFL. He tries to go around too many things. He tries to play around blocks rather than move guys and fight through blocks, keeping shoulder free. I think Jack will be a nice rotational piece as a situational pass rusher somewhere.
All right. What other guys do you want to talk about here out of this list?
Oh my gosh. Should you want to talk about Nick Scorton? I know you like him, right?
I am a fan of him. As far as those guys that I see as traditional 4-3 hand of the dirt type of ends, in line with a Tuimoloau and Sawyer, I think that he's kind of the best of the bunch. He is also extremely high floor, but he does have the capability to be a good pass rusher. A&M asked him to put some weight on, which got him up to this 285. But in previous years, he was playing at 270 or so and was way better as a pass rusher, like significantly better. I can't remember where he played before A&M. Where was he? I don't know if it says in here. No, I'm not seeing it. Before he went to A&M, though, he played at that lighter weight. He was asked to put on the weight at A&M. I think that if he drops back down to that like 270 range, that's when you're going to see a big jump in that pass rush capability. You look at the previous year, 2023, he had 8 sacks in this year, halved his sacks going to A&M as more of a traditional 4-3 end. He was able to do a lot more stand-up stuff in 2023 and previous years as a pass rusher. So this is another one of those guys that you're banking on. If you want to use him as a stand-up 3-4 edge, you can have him drop a little bit of that weight, get a little bit more of that speed back. But he's scheme versatile in my mind because obviously he's shown that he can play and be a high floor type of player as a 4-3 end. I think that his ceiling, though, can be higher if you put him in that 3-4 and have him drop a little bit of weight.
Okay. Guys, a lot of teams are still going to the 3-4. I'm a traditional guy, man. I love the 4-3. I love the 4-3 defense. I always have. I prefer it to the 3-4. So
I did too until we had Flores come in, and I've been riding this fucking Flores sauce in the 3-4 and the hybrid schemes and stuff a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm old school guy. I like pro style offense, wide zone scheme, 4-3, cover 3, or fucking man defense. I'm an old school guy. Now, don't get me wrong. I like me some motion. We used the shit out of motion when we were coaching in Arizona. So, but man, the 4-3 guys they don't get to shine anymore. All these guys are now 3-4 outside linebackers. Brother, anybody else you want to talk about? Do you want to get into Landon Jackson and how fucking freakishly large that human being is?
Yeah, look, Landon Jackson, I think that he's going to go outside of the first round. He maybe sneaks up in the end of the first, but overall, I like him. He's a huge defensive end, though, and he's not as bendy as I would like to see. He also looks scary because of he's got no hair.
Alopecia.
Yeah, looks a little scary because of it.
Alopecia king, baby.
Looks like a cancer patient, but he definitely plays like he doesn't have cancer. That sounds bad. Really good run defender. Really good run defender. Not super bendy, but he's a guy that's going to be big, set the edge. I like him as that 4-3 end type of guy. And theoretically, if you were to pack on a little bit more, he would be a lighter version of a 3-4 and 5 tech type of end.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Landon?
He's massive human being. I think he's massive. I don't know that he has a lot of pass rush moves that I like. I think he probably profiles better as a guy more on the inside as a 5 tech.
All right. Princely Umami Ellen. He's a guy
I've never been able to say the fucking dude's name.
Princely Umami Ellen. Umami Ellen. It is tough. But I just call him Prince. I think there's like 3 people in his family with the name Prince. Like all the kids have Prince some way, shape, or form in his family. He's an interesting guy. I think that he's going to go outside of the first round. He is primarily just a pass rusher, stand-up 3-4 type of pass rusher. I've said this, I believe, when we did our first mock draft. He, in my eyes, has the slowest spin move that you'll see, but for some reason it just fucking works every time. And I think it's because like maybe the tackles are like, there's no way this is an actual spin move, and then he's behind me already. Like I don't like he just wows them with the spin move because it is extremely effective despite just looking like it is slow as molasses. But really good pass rusher, 11 sacks this last year. And I think that he needs to be more of a designated pass rushing specialist. Despite having an okay run defense grade, he's not going to hold up as well in the run in the NFL. But I like him. I like him as a second round guy, high second round player. There's one guy in here that is rated a little bit lower that I think could surprise people, be taken as a first round pick in Braden Swinson. Only recently has PFF moved him up. Previously, he was like close to their 100th ranked player. This dude's a fucking dog. Look, 22% pass rush win rate as a pure pass rusher. He's extremely good. Like high potential pass rusher here.
I don't know much about this kid. I don't know anything about this kid. Brandon Swinson.
Braden Swinson.
Braden, sorry.
Yeah. And the thing is that you saw limited production because he was only a starter in his last year. And that's why you see like he gets some good grades here, but very little production. Yeah. It wasn't until this last year that he was a starter where he actually started to see production, 9 sacks. And he's a guy with like low mileage on him. And you're banking on
snap count went up by like almost fucking 300 this year. So
yeah. Like he is the diamond in the rough type of guy that I think people aren't talking about as much because and it's intentional because someone's going to try to steal him at the end of the first round. or early in the second, like as primarily a pass rush specialist, because he's not huge. He's a stand-up 3-4 type of guy at 6'4", 250. But like great hands, fast, and I think that he's going to be a fantastic pass rusher.
All right.
A name to watch. Name to watch.
I'll be on the lookout. I don't know. He ain't coming to my team. We'll stay with the 4-3 ends. I don't know.
Any of these other guys that you want to talk about?
Not really. If I'm being completely honest.
That's fine.
I mean, they're all pretty average ass players. Like that's we've talked about it kind of ad nauseum. I feel like we're still a month away. The top of this draft, you have some
just
really,
under a month.
Yeah, just under. That's true. At the top of the draft, you have some really, really talented players. A couple of blue chip guys. Then you've got some first round graded guys, and then you have a whole crop of people. I got it like 25 through 60, where everybody's pretty much the fucking same.
Yeah.
And
look, if you look at
these guys some of these guys fall into that shit.
You look at these edge defenders and this PFF rank. This is not like the 56th ranked edge defender. It's the 56th ranked player on their big board. And I don't agree with all their rankings, but just for the purposes of this exercise, Jack Sawyer to me is kind of where the shelf is for these guys that I consider guys that you can at least have in as a rotational capacity day one. But everyone from there up, those are guys that you're getting that rotational capacity. And then you have that shelf where it's more developmental guys when you start talking Jared Ivey and lower. Pick 56. That's second round. And you're not going to have nothing but edge defenders taken. These guys that are up above Jack Sawyer, some of them are going to fall into the third round.
They might. Yeah, for sure.
It is a good top end pass rush class from the edge defenders. However, they're going to be spread out more where you're going to get some guys that are steals. And then once you hit that mid third round later, I think that's when you're going to start to see that drop off. There's one guy here that we haven't talked about as well, because PFF doesn't have him listed as an edge defender. That we kind of talked about before.
Fullback, right? Where's he listed? Or whatever the fuck.
No. I'm talking about Jalen Walker.
Oh, okay.
We talked a little bit about him in our linebacker episode, but we have to talk about Jalen Walker because the guy's range is all over the place as well. I've seen him as high as in the top 10 and as late as the end of the first round, but I almost always see him being taken first round in mock drafts because he is this interesting player. He is short, 6'2", 245, but he has that same sort of flexibility where he is starting the move from stand-up traditional linebacker to more of an edge rusher, kind of like Abdul Carter. He fits a little bit more in line size-wise with that Micah Parsons. But Jalen Walker has some pretty impressive skills as both a stand-up linebacker and an edge rusher. I like him better as an edge rusher, for sure. But I think the flexibility that you get with him is you want to play him 60, 70% of the time as that edge rusher. But if you have to move him into more of a linebacker role that is going to be blitzing a lot, he's also going to be fantastic for you. Extremely physically gifted. I think that he is worth kind of that first round consideration, given the right scheme and finding someone that's going to be able to do something special with him. Like I immediately think you got to find a creative coach who is going to find creative ways to use him. He also is one of those guys that gets looked at as an edge rusher, possibly in the top 3 of this group by a lot of metrics.
Yeah, so I remember when we went through the linebackers, we were like, I'm not going to talk about him because I think he's an edge rusher, and I do think he's an edge rusher. He's just one of those. He's a weird tweener, and the tweeners have not really caught on in the last few years, man. It feels like not Justin Simmons, what the dude from Arizona, linebacker, but safety combo.
Who's with he was with the Giants. I think he this year.
It was Simmons. I don't remember what the hell
his Simmons.
First name is. I don't remember his first name, but like they haven't caught on. These positionless players, you have to be otherworldly. You have to be super special. And
Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons, thank you. He's a good player, man. The transition into a full-time outside linebacker pass rusher, it's probably in his best interest. I just don't know what team is going to take him that is going to allow him to kind of find his footing and have the right coaching system. Does he go to a team like the Jets, who just bring in a brand new head coach, defensive head coach, Swiss Army knife on the defensive side? I mean, that seems a little high. Does he fall all the way into the second round, though, where the Jets could potentially take him? The grade is all over the place because you don't really know what you're going to get. He's that ultimate tweener, the Nolan Smith, Isaiah Simmons type fucking guys.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily like all the coaching fits for him that I'm about to say, but schematically, because you get both a guy who could be a very good edge rusher, but also can provide you some depth at linebacker, I immediately think Buccaneers, who need both of that, Bengals need help fucking everywhere. The highest that I would really start to look at him, and I don't feel good about it, but the highest I think that I would look at him because of the need at both linebacker and edge rush would be the Panthers, because they need everything on defense.
Is that 8?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
7?
Something like that.
The Raiders are 8.
And so Raiders are 6.
Okay.
But he's that type of guy that you're going to get, hopefully, a good edge rusher. But on those defenses that kind of need guys at both spots, it's like we're going to talk about when we talk about the offensive line class. You have a lot of guys who are listed as tackles, who probably their best fit is as a guard. But you might play him at tackle a little bit type thing. That's kind of what Jalen Walker is on the defense. Like, his best fit is probably as an edge rusher, but you're going to get utility out of him playing linebacker as well, until you start to build out that roster more and find the true role for him.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys who've had that track. Kyle Van Noy, very, very famously, was all over the place in what he did with that New England Patriots defense. So it works. It can work out. You just got to find the right coach, the right system. The Patriot way worked out for Kyle Van Noy for a long time. So, I mean, there's ways it works.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right. Any other edge rushers you want to talk about, guys, that fit in this edge rush class?
Not for me, brother. I'm good.
All righty. I think that's probably it.
That'll do it, man. We'll wrap it up, but I mean, never officially wrap it up because we like to keep it raw here on the show. For all the people, thank you very much for tuning in. We got to talk some linebackers, some tight ends. This was Mike's tight end. Shout out Torres. Appreciate you hopping in here, brother. Guys, we're going to be back next week. We're going to be talking some more positions. Got to get all these guys in because we're going to try to get another mock draft going before the official NFL draft. Also, a lot of news coming out from this show. Things are going to change. A lot of things, a lot of upheaval over the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned. You guys will see all of it kind of as it unfolds. There'll be some hints along the way. See if you guys can figure out what the hell is going on. But we got a secret. And I'm excited to let everybody in on it when that time comes. But my man, Evo, you got any last words for the people before we get out of here?
Nah, man, nothing really. Just keep enjoying your spring here. Things are going to continue to heat up. Aaron Rodgers is a bad quarterback and a bad person.
That's very true. All of those things are true. Guys, this is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That is Evo. If you want to interact with our show, go to Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram. You can find us on any social media. If you want to listen to us, you can go ahead and download it anywhere podcasts are found. If you want to watch us, head on over to our YouTube channel. You can see these beautiful faces make dumbass dick and fart jokes day after day. But we'd appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe if you stop by on the YouTube. Guys, with that, we are going to get out of here, though. We will be back next week. Thank you for your time. It's the most valuable resource that you have. So any time that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. With that, we're getting the fuck out of here. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. See you.